Hans, welcome to the show. Nice that you find some time to talk with us. How are you doing?
Well, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to our talk, and I'm glad to be here back in the office. It's been a while, and I'm looking forward to start coming back to the office more and more. But most of all, I'm looking forward to meet with our customers again, because is overdue.
Yes, so a new episode in our corona crisis.
Exactly.
Yes, because we are going to talk about disruptions in this interview, not a real new phenomenon, but it seems to me that we have more disruptions now, and also on a larger scale than before. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. And as you said, it's not new, because basically we have always, in shipping, you're always confronted with disruptions or things which happen, like a typhoon, a strike, issues in a terminal, issues with a vessel. So that's not new, and people are used to handling these disruptions. What is new, that we are indeed on a global scale and having more of these elements, and also it's they pop up all of a sudden. So, and we have very little time to really adjust to it and make changes to it. So therefore, having this global part is really causing the biggest problem, because there's a snowball effect of everywhere. You have these pockets of problems, and that's snowballing. That's snowballing.
Yes. So the impact is even
big impact indeed.
Bigger. On all the partners in the chain. Yeah. And does it also influence the volumes of the Port of Rotterdam?
Well, it did in the beginning. Obviously, you can understand that in the first lockdown period in 2020, volumes were really going down. We had a -8% in TEUs at that time, but at the second half of 2020, we saw volumes coming back, returning, and we ended at a -3% in 2020. This return of volume is luckily continuing, so we are now in the first half at +8.7%. You have to compare that to the first half of 2020, obviously, but still volumes are strong, and we are topping 2019 volume. So I'm actually quite okay with it.
Yes, you're okay. It's a positive line upwards.
Definitely, yeah.
Yes. And about the disruptions, do you think that we will go back to normal, or is this the new normal that we are facing now?
Yeah. What's normal in shipping? That's always a question. What you now see is that the schedule reliability of the vessels is very low, and that's one of the problems of the current situation. That's also creating challenges at the terminal, and then you come at that snowball, what I just said to you. So we need a period where things can be readjusted. And currently that's not there, but I hope that during Chinese New Year it will go back, and then we will have that the schedules become more reliable again, and therefore we go back to a more predictable situation. However, you can always have this pockets of problems, like a new COVID issue or something like that. So that's hopefully not. But first things first get the schedules back to normal, and hopefully that will happen during Chinese New Year.
Yes. So schedules back to normal, the predictability more there also. But what will be the change on the longer term? Do you also think that will influence the container shipping business?
What you now hear is that companies are rethinking their dependency on the supply chain. They have noticed that the just-in-time shipping, which is the current trend, is difficult because of the congested ports, delays, less capacity, higher freight rates. So what I expect is that companies will rethink their supply chain, but I don't think that it will fundamentally shift, because shipping has always been a cost-driven situation, and therefore what we've seen is that these costs have led to cooperation between shipping lines, forming of alliances, getting bigger vessels, and that's the fundament is this cost. And I don't think that this will change. This fundament of cost will, so majority of containers from China on big ships, I believe that will continue to be there, but maybe some changes to the supply chain.
Yeah, so a cost-driven business that will stay there also in the future. That's what you expect. But just, I mean, you always see that they say never waste a good crisis. So do you see opportunities to use this momentum in a way to change the modus operandi?
Yeah, definitely. Because currently we are confronted with challenges, and we have to address this. And I think what we should look at is can we cooperate better? How can we jointly address this situation? Because currently what you see is that a lot of companies try to optimize within their own reach their challenges and try to handle these challenges. But we have to cooperate better and start sharing data and getting a more efficient part. And let me give an example what I mean with that. Because currently truck drivers are confronted with congestion. And it is almost impossible for an individual truck driver or a company to change that situation. But there is, on the other hand, availability of space in the evenings and during the weekends, so that truck drivers can pick up a container without congestion. However, they cannot bring the containers to their final customers because they are closed during the weekend or in the evening. So what we should do is talk together with these final customers, with the truckers, with the terminals, and see how can we cooperate and make sure that this is a possibility for having a more efficient situation. And that's what we're promoting.
Yes, so it's about working together, communicate, sharing data. So I think digital tools are very important for that. But let's also talk about the physical infrastructure, because that's also one of the keys to create a smoothly running supply chain. So what could you tell us about those projects that you're working on?
Expanding and making sure that we can cater for the additional containers is definitely important. So there is a number of projects which I want to mention. First is the container exchange route, which is a non-public road connecting the deep sea terminals, and that makes the transfer of containers more smoother and more efficient. We are also deepening some of the basins in the port, which will cater for bigger vessels and even larger vessels, which we can handle. We are constructing the quay sites on the Amalia haven, allowing for further expansion of the terminals there. And also on the rail network, the Theemsweg tracé is also being constructed, making a more smoother rail connection available.
Yes, so impressive projects also on the infrastructural, the physical infrastructure of the Port of Rotterdam. And let's also talk about the accessibility of the European hinterland, also very important for Rotterdam. So can you explain us what do you do to ensure a consistent flow to the hinterland?
Yeah. Well, and hinterland is very important, obviously. We do about 15 million containers. These containers are not all for Holland. They will go into Europe, and we should reach this 500 million consumers, which is our hinterland. What we do is we try to make sure that all the modalities, so barge, rail, truck, and feeders, are able in a good way to pick up these containers. And we have a number of digital projects which we are doing. And I can mention, for instance, NextLogic, which is a barge optimization tool, which we will introduce shortly. But we also have a very good port base, the port community system. We work with a route scanner Navigate, which allows the shippers and the forwarders to quickly look for the best route, and these are a few examples which we are working on to make sure that on the digital side we are also very much keen and work on a better product on the modalities.
Yes, so physical infrastructure, digital tools to reinsure also the mainland. So what can you tell us about regions? Are there also regions more important, or do you have focus regions in Europe?
Yeah, the regions which we are, obviously the Rhine area, which is our traditional hinterland, which can be well connected via barge and train. Brabant and Limburg, the province in the south of Holland, connecting to multiple ports, multiple terminals in the northwest Europe area. So therefore, very important that we have a good connection into Rotterdam, but also looking into south of Germany, Poland, Italy, and these are things. And I think it's also good to mention that we have people in these regions available. So we have local representatives looking after our customers in these regions, and we have a shippers and forwarders team who are helping these customers directly, but also doing analysis on their supply chain via the Scope project, for instance.
Yes, so also the focus on the personal
Exactly,
level.
Yes.
Well, you mentioned also the digital tools. So the Port of Rotterdam is investing heavily in digitalization and in optimizing the entire chain, also far beyond their own physical borders. So do you think that is also a logical role for a port authority?
Yeah. We addressed that we are in a global situation, a global supply chain. You see that it is really, and I have addressed that people should look beyond their own area and start cooperating, and therefore the effectiveness of the tools which we are using will only be if we start cooperating with the rest of the world as well. Start cooperating with and start data sharing with other terminals as well, so that our tools which we are using in Rotterdam becomes more effective.
Yes, so practice what you preach.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to close this interview, Hans, what would be your last advice or your main advice actually to strengthen the global supply chain and to build a resilient chain that can better handle disruptions that we experience nowadays?
For me, there are two areas or two items which I want to mention, is start cooperating and start sharing data. I think these are the two items which are make, if we are really good at those, that we become a more efficient port. And by becoming a more efficient port, we all benefit. I know that's a slogan of a company, but we will definitely all benefit from that, and there will be more containers into Rotterdam.
So cooperation, data sharing, those are key.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, Hans, for this interview and sharing your insights with us. And I'm looking forward to go back to the studio to continue this conversation with our guests.
Thank you.